Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Holger Ritter. I'm from Kiel, Germany. My company is Drynet, and we are working in maritime communications, satellite and cellular. And we are since 1.5 years. We are working closely together with Deutsche Telekom, with my colleague Erik here. And we have a joint presentation this afternoon about what Deutsche Telekom is doing regards satellite IoT. And basically, we have split it into two parts. Erik will cover the first part, and then I take over with some use cases.
Very good, Holger.
So
good. Yeah. Quick introduction of myself. My name is Erik Brunnekreef. I'm Dutch. I work with Telecom since a couple of years, and I'm actually a product creator and business builder for tech. And since a year, responsible for setting up the satellite IoT business for Deutsche Telekom, the IoT limited company providing IoT services, mainly based on cellular SIM cards. So quickly, a few minutes talking you through the journey that we had, and then Holger can take over with some very practical examples. So what we basically had a year ago is we were sitting together and trying to define and to decide what we want to do with satellite, because satellite is a very important, maybe we can just go through the previous slide because...
other way, please go back to the first slide.
Yeah. Because I'm not on a remote control right now and just need to make sure that this story is a bit aligned with the picture. Thank you. So what I said, Telecom is looking for some places and activities to do with satellite related to its cellular activities. So what we always do first, or what I always at least do first, when we need to start doing some commercial activity, is going to our customers, ask what their issues are, and see how we can together solve these issues. And of course, the issues are related with satellite. Many customers using already satellite and are looking for new opportunities, and there are also a lot of developments going on. But what we basically said, if we want to do something, we need to have a very customer-centric approach. So we started speaking with these customers, mainly in those segments that you see here on the left side: utilities, logistics, environment, maritime, and industrial. And we found out actually that most of these customers have in principle a top 3 type of problem list. They have 30, 40 problems, but you always need to focus. And the first 3 ones are coverage, and not only the coverage on sea or in the mountains, but also the white spots, the blank spots that we have on land where the cellular network is not reaching. And that's very important for a certain set of customers. The second thing is the customers want to have better and guaranteed service quality. We, with cellular initially, cannot provide that because we have a shared service also with other operators. But satellite can provide that. So that's a huge advantage for customers to use satellite. And then the third thing is that when customers trying to handle these problems and organize solutions for that, they always go to different types of connectivity providers. And then you can end up, as you will see with Holger's telling, sometimes with 10 connectivity providers that you need to manage. So what for us is very important is number 3, reduce that management complexity of connectivity. Now, we started digging with customers where we are at the moment. So we have, that's why we have developed a little bit medium band as our prime beachhead market to go to. Not so much the narrow band and not so much the broadband, but the medium band, as I said. And we have been executing a couple of proof of concepts, use cases. And Holger is going to tell a little bit more about these 3. And what we have been actually doing with these POCs, I can tell it right away that we are working on providing a commercial offering, a first MVP in the next quarter. And then hoping to celebrate this also with our customers, because these customers predominantly come from with use cases that are of critical impact, so critical infrastructure, critical operations, and they are all existing problems, as Holger will tell you right now in his story about the use cases and the proof of concepts. And thank you for your attention, and also be pleasant to be part of this anniversary. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Erik, to give us an introduction. And as Erik said, I will give you some more information about our use cases. All right, good. Too fast. Excellent. So when we had been looking into a first use case, which is about water data management, water is the most important thing we have here on our planet for all of us. And we all consist of a lot of water, but water is everywhere. And the management of water will be one thing that is so important in the next decades that it is absolutely necessary to manage water in a way that we get all data about it that we can. And there is a company in the US called Drynet, and they developed a sensor that can measure the water level, also the ice level, everything that has water in it, the water level of surfaces. That means it can measure if the water is coming on a spring tide or that the water is low or whatever. And they do it by taking the reflections of a GPS satellite and measure these reflections, measure the time that the reflection needs to arrive at their sensor, put it in an AI engine, and basically calculate and predict how a water situation will development in a certain area. Sounds a little bit like magic to me, but it really works. We have set up we have set up a case in Germany now to monitor the water level of the Kiel Canal that is going from the Baltic Sea to the North Sea. And the technology that is there is about 120 years old to manage and monitor the water level. It's big steel tubes, and inside the steel tubes is a water level meter, also made of steel with a big chain, heating that it does not freeze in winter, and so on. Here with Drynet, we have a sensor that has the size of a Coca-Cola tin that connects to the internet and to a cloud service and get us all the data they need. So for them, for the German waterway management, WSV, it is a matter of replacing steel infrastructure by a small digital box. Steel infrastructure that is 100 years and older works, but the data is not available. Yeah, they have to travel to these sites. So what we did, we connect this sensor here to the 4G and 5G network, and as well to the satellite network, because it's installed at places also where you don't have cellular connectivity. So it's necessary that you have both. It's necessary that you have satellite and cellular in one box, and the management must be managed so that you have also a CIR in satellite. It means committed information rate. That means that the customers of the WSV, which are shipping companies, but also private sailors, can rely on the data, and it has to be measured every minute, and it has to be provided every minute. And that's why in this case, we teamed up on a satellite base with Intelsat. They provide geostationary satellites, not the fancy new LEOs, but we need 24/7 in this case. And that means we cannot have a day with two measurements, 15 minutes, that doesn't help. We need 24/7. That's why we teamed up here with Intelsat and connected Intelsat and the Deutsche Telekom cellular network to provide for this critical infrastructure, the communication link. All right, the next use case is a little bit similar. It's also about very critical infrastructure. It's about providing air traffic control information in wind farms. There's new European legislation that says those blinking red lights you see on the windmills, they have to be switched off soon when no airplane is in proximity. That is good for bats, birds, animals, but also for the farmers who live around there, who have a night blinking there, like in a discotheque. They don't want to have that. So there's regulation that it needs to be switched off. Okay, and that will hopefully, at least in Germany, it's a case that people don't like those wind farms close to their house, and that's one reason for it. And hopefully, the motivation to have a wind power engine next to your house becomes higher as soon as those red lights are switched off. But if an airplane approaches the wind farm, they have to be switched on again at a certain distance. Of course, that the helicopter does not run into the wind farm. And this must be done within 1 second. This information has to be provided within 1 second, and the SPS and the sensor has to be switched on the windmill within 1 second delay from air traffic control to the wind farm. That's the target. And we are also using here a device from a company called Satisfy, and combination with Intelsat and the 5G network, combined it all together in order really to get up to a service level agreement that allows us a 1 second latency, a guaranteed 1 second latency, because just in a cellular network, nobody can provide that guarantee. But in a satellite network, in combination with cellular, this can be achieved. So critical infrastructure, and Deutsche Telekom is managing it here. All right. And the last use case is a connected vessel. This vessel is owned by Wärtsilä, a Finnish company. Maybe you know they are market leader in equipping ships with engines, but also with bridges and so on. And this ship called Ahti, which is the goddess of the sea in Finnish, I don't know, probably only the Baltic Sea. And this ship has everything. It doesn't look like that because it's an old fishing monitoring vessel, but they rebuilt it, and it has everything on it what you think that technology can be on a vessel today. So my company put on this vessel 4G, 5G, 2 different satellite systems, integrated it, and we have Deutsche Telekom 5G SIM cards on it, and we have the integration of an Inmarsat service, which is a satellite provider that has different kind of satellite services, especially for the maritime world. And the target was how to connect this vessel to a remote control center so that you have absolutely resilient and redundant communication. So if the vessel sails autonomously, the question is, what happens if the communication breaks down? And if it breaks down, the vessel goes into a failed state, of course. But so it cannot break down. It should not break down. So the availability has to be brought up to a highest level. And unfortunately, there is no fiber line behind the vessel. So it's all wireless. And just to give you an idea what this means in terms of infrastructure. So we put up here 5G with a battery of antennas. We put up here a long-range 4G system that goes up to 80 kilometers from shore for cellular, and of course 2 Inmarsat communication systems. One is on Ka band, pretty fast, and the other one is on L band, very slow, old, but ultra reliable also during bad weather. And the management of all this is done in 2 ways. There's a small orchestrator box on the ship that has been developed by my company. And of course, there is the IoT hub from Deutsche Telekom, where all these networks connect into. And it's not only, let's say, T-Mobile that connects into this. It can be also a competitor. For example, we connected also Etisalat from the UAE to that Deutsche Telekom IoT hub, which harmonizes the whole management level. So what we achieved here is an availability for the whole network end-to-end that is 99.9%. That is really high, and that gives the opportunity that the control center of Wärtsilä can really almost at any time, under any condition, manage and monitor that vessel and get all the IoT data from the vessel that's necessary to run it. Also video data, voice, etc. Yeah. That's basically what we did, conducting during the last year 3 use cases. And now, as Erik said, Deutsche Telekom is productizing the whole thing, and we will see a minimum viable product during the next quarter. So we are looking into about 20-25 customers to implement that for the next year. And then we will see. It is open to satellite providers, so we will sign up not just Intelsat and Inmarsat and the, let's say, legacy incumbents, but also the new players. And as you might have read that, for example, Deutsche Telekom or T-Mobile signed up also with Starlink in the US. So
great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Holger.